Thank you so much for coming to this webinar. I hope this can help parents and carers with their teens moving forward into university. As I said, we are recording this webinar. Justine is, my name's Dougal, and I'm part of the Tasmanian Future Students team, or Future Students Engagement, I think we're now called. Justine's a member of my team as well. She's going to be helping me with any questions as we go along. So welcome. And just on that point, if you do have any questions, as we move along, there's a little Q&A button down the bottom there you can see on the screen. Feel free to just click on that and ask your questions. We'll try to answer them as we go along. There'll also be a session at the end where we can get stuck into the questions as well, but Justine will be there monitoring that too. If we can't answer any questions, we will get back to you in some way, shape or form, but I think we should be able to get onto everything this evening. So thanks so much for coming. I just want to acknowledge the Palawa Pakana people of Lutruwita, the traditional owners and custodians of the land on which we live and work. We pay respects to elders past and present as the knowledge holders and sharers. We honour their strong culture and knowledge as vital to the self-determination, well-being and strength of the community. We stand for a future that profoundly respects and acknowledges Aboriginal perspectives, culture, language and history. So tonight, this is the first webinar of a series of 3. Now, we won't be covering everything off tonight, and I'll give you a list at the end of this webinar, what we'll be covering off in the next couple. So really what we want to talk about tonight, I'll just do a really quick overview of why go to university, and then we're going to talk about the TCE, the ATAR, the early entry program, also known as the schools recommendation program, and a couple of other bits and pieces as well. But as I say, there will be other webinars following this, which you're welcome to register for. They will also be recorded. So as I say, I don't want to go too much into why go to university, because we are going to cover that in a little more detail in one of the other webinars. But the main reasons why are a higher than average salary for any graduates. That can even be codified into some government wage structures. Improved career prospects. It allows you to move into higher levels more easily. In some jobs, you have to have a degree to do that. The social life at university, I can certainly speak from my own experience. That was great, and that was a lot of fun, and it was really good. It helped me grow as a person, and it helps build self-confidence, as that point near the bottom says. The big thing is you study subjects you enjoy, and that's something I can really speak to. I was not a great student. I got an ATAR, which is a score out of 100 of about 40 something. I had to do year 12 again. And then when I went to university, I got high distinctions for the first couple of years, which is the highest mark you can get. And it was just because I really enjoyed what I was doing. So I always make that point to students when I'm out there visiting schools, etc. There is a lot of extracurricular activities to enjoy at UTAS as well. We have over 200 clubs, and that ranges from sporting things to academic pursuits to social to food, to anything you can think of, basically. So UTAS has all that sort of student life that you'd expect. The other reason, I'm going to go into a little bit of detail about this next, is the Australian Universities Accord. Don't worry if you've never heard of it, that's fine, because I'm going to explain what that is and why it's important, and why that is a major point in why you might want your teen to go to university. So what is the Australian Universities Accord? The Australian Universities Accord, it's a reform initiative aimed at shaping the future of higher education in Australia, sets out 47 recommendations designed to improve accessibility, equity and alignment between university and vocational education sectors. The goal is to ensure that Australia's workforce is equipped with the necessary skills to meet the future challenges. Now that just sounds like a lot of words. Basically, what it is the government is just trying to set up the future workforce so that we can compete globally, and we can have the best workforce that we can. So what does it mean for young people? By 2050, and this is the statistics that they've come up with in the Accord. By 2050, 80% of all jobs will require a tertiary qualification. Now, that can be either university or TAFE, and TAFE is definitely something to consider as well. TAFE also offers a lot of courses which will be helpful in the workplace. To meet this need, 90% of young people finishing school will need to go to TAFE or university, 90%. So it's a lot. Now, that is by 2050, but it's just going to keep increasing. That's only 25 years away. This includes around 50% requiring bachelor degree or higher qualifications and 44% requiring vet qualifications. So for the purposes of tonight's webinar, we're really talking about university. So 50% will require a bachelor degree, which is what the university offers sort of as a beginning. Key targets of the Accord are raising the tertiary education attainment rate from 60% to at least 80% of the workforce by 2050, increasing the proportion of university educated Australians aged 25 to 34 from 45% to 55% by 2050, and expanding the number of 25 to 34-year-olds with a tertiary level vocational or technical qualification to 40% by 2050. Now, as I said, there's a lot of words in that. I really just wanted to give you an idea that this is kind of the way the world's going, or the way Australia's going at least, and we are responding to the world. So that just gives you some idea of what's going to happen and why a higher education is going to be even more important moving forwards. This is just a little graph showing the projected growth in the various industries. As you can see, healthcare and social assistance is just going off the charts, along with sciences, education and training. I mean, everything's up there, but they're the big ones. So just a bit of a visual on how important and sort of the growth that we're looking at. Okie doke, now into the real meat and potatoes of what I want to talk to tonight. So now I just want to make a qualifying statement before we get to the ATAR and the TCE, which I will go into a little bit of detail. UTAS does not control these or administer them in any way. That's mainly up to TASC, which is the Tasmanian sort of education area. I just want to give you an idea of what those terms mean and what they mean for getting into university, but things can change. So this information is correct at the moment, but just because it's not under our control, I just want to make that disclaimer, I suppose, but don't worry too much about that. So there's two main ways to secure an offer to the University of Tasmania for a school leaver. Now, there are also other ways if you're not a school leaver, but we're really focusing on the school leaver thing tonight. So a qualifying ATAR score, that's sort of been the traditional way to get into university. You get a certain mark at the end of year 12, and some courses have a very high ATAR to get into, and some are a little bit less. So, for example, medicine's about 96 to get into at UTAS, whereas if you're looking at fine arts, it's about 55, and then you've got everything in between there. Engineering's up at 75, 80, as is law. Arts is psychology is like 65. So, just to give you an idea, but I will go into the details of the ATAR in a second. The other main way to get in, and this is becoming more and more common, is the early university offer, or schools recommendation program is what it's been called up to now. And I'll call it SRP if that's okay from now on, because it just becomes a mouthful after a while. So that offers year 12 students a chance to receive an offer, even if they don't get an ATAR. They must get a TCE, and I'll go into the details of that in a second as well. But it's great for students who the teachers know that they're great, they're going to perform at university, but they just didn't get their ATAR for whatever reason. They may have only done 3 pre-tertiary courses or something like that. So they are the two main ways for a school leaver to get into to university at this point. So what's an ATAR? Now, an ATAR is a score out of 100. Oh, sorry, it's to 99.95. And it's really a ranking. So if you have an ATAR of 80, that's the example we've got there on the screen, that means that that person has a higher mark than 80% of the other students in Tasmania. So it's a ranking order, not a mark as such, and it's out of 100. And as I say, certain courses will have an ATAR that there must be a minimum to reach to get there. Now, to be eligible to receive an ATAR, you have to have completed at least 2 years of post year 10 secondary study, so year 11 and 12. You have to have been awarded your TCE or Tasmanian Certificate of Education, and you have to achieve at least a satisfactory achievement or better in at least 4 task level, 3 or 4 courses. Now, you may not know what all that means, but the people who you're here to find out about, they'll know what that means. Or they soon will if they're not in year 11 yet. Now, a lot of students to get an ATAR will actually do at least 5, but 4, it is still possible. So, but you will find that along the line doing 5 or even more than that, although once you get past 5, that starts to get pretty serious. And there can also be HAP or UCP courses. Now, they are courses that are kind of run in conjunction with the university. I'm not going to get into those today, but we will be covering those in a later session. So don't worry about that too much at the moment, but you can be doing some courses at secondary school, which will give you credit for university, but don't worry about that too much just at the moment. So, and what's the TCE? The TCE or Tasmanian Certificate of Education. So that's the Tasmanian Senior Certificate. When I went to school back in the 90s, it was the HSC in New South Wales. And this is the equivalent. And it involves you getting a certain amount of marks. You have to have completed a minimum of 2 years further education, meet the participation and achievement standards by completing a combination of study options to attain a sufficient TCE credit points. And this is the big one, demonstrated the 3 everyday adult standards in reading, writing and communication, mathematics and use of computers and the internet. Now, as I say, as UTES doesn't actually run these or have any influence on them whatsoever, if you do want more details on those, it's probably best to check out the TASC website. That's TASC. So, unlock your future with an early university offer. So this is what I was talking about before. It has been called the Schools Recommendation Program, and that's what most people know it as now. What happens is when your students go to apply, and this is just the application process is just about to open this year. So it's on the 26th of June this year, but it's around this date every year. It's almost always at the same time. So whether it's next year or the year after, it will be very similar. A student can apply for up to 5 courses at UTAS. Now, that's 5 courses just at UTAS. If they are also applying on the mainland or whatever, that's in addition. It doesn't affect this at all, but you get 5 choices at UTAS. You don't have to apply for 5, but you can. And a lot of times you'll want to have a backup as well. So when they go to submit their application after the 26th of June, there'll be a little box on that application form that says, do you want to apply for the school's recommendation program? They just tick that box. And then what we do is we send their teachers a series of questions, and I'll show you an example of that in a minute. Just asking those teachers how they rate that particular student. So this is an example of the what we send them. It's called a rubric. As you can see, there's 7 rankings there, 7 categories there: literacy skills, numeracy, critical thinking. So they're kind of the hard ones. Not hard, they're the really tangible ones. But then you get to critical thinking, time management, collaborative skills, ability to think independently, and interested in and engaged in learning. Now, then the teachers will send that back to us, and we will look at how they've ranked the student, and then we will give them an offer or not, but often we will give them an offer, we will often give them an offer if they've got a good ranking from the teacher. So what it does is that it allows the teachers who know the students better than we do. We only get to see what they can do sort of twice a year in the exams and all that kind of stuff. So whereas some students are great and the teachers know they're going to do well at university, and this allows them to say, we think this person can definitely succeed at university, even though they may have only done 3 pre-tertiary, so they're not going to get an ATAR. So that's the aim for this program. So your students, so say for this year, I'll just use these this year's dates. So it opens on the 26th of June. The first round of offers closes on the 28th of July. And then if the student is successful, they will receive an offer on the 4th of September. Now they could receive more than one offer. So they could get all 5 offers, for example. Now they can accept all of those. They're not committed to anything until they actually enroll. Now we will cover this in later webinars as well, but I'll just give you an idea of what that's about. So really, with the Schools Recommendation Program, it's a chance for students to get an early offer, whether they just want to be a bit more relaxed for their ATAR exams and all that kind of stuff, or they're not going to get an ATAR, or any number of circumstances. There might have been some family situations in year 11 or 12, which have caused things, but it allows the teachers to recommend them for an early offer. That's basically the long and short of it. Now, it doesn't finish on the 28th of July either. There is a second and third round. I encourage students to try and get into the first round if they can, but it's not the end of the world if they get in the second or third round. Now, the Future Students team that Justine and I belong to, we offer events where we can help enroll, and I will give you the dates for those later as well. We also can do one-on-ones and stuff like that to help students enroll. And as parents and carers, you're also welcome to engage in those as well, as long as a student has named you as an approved kind of carer or whatever, which most of them will, but that's up to them. So what if I'm not eligible for an early offer? We aim for everyone to receive requirements. However, it does depend on the teacher's ranking. And it also means that you do have to get a TCE. Now, if the student didn't receive a TCE, it doesn't necessarily mean we won't consider it, but there would be an extra step on that. Also, if a student doesn't get an early offer, they still can get through on their ATAR. That doesn't change anything. So that application will still be assessed against the ATAR. So for example, if a student was applying for nursing, which in Hobart is about 70 ATAR, they didn't get an early offer, but then when they did their ATAR and they get their ATAR in about mid-December and they had 75, they would still get their offer. It doesn't stop that part of the process. It's just an addition. Now, even students who are going to get a 97 in their ATAR, I suggest they tick the SRP box anyway, because why not have an early offer, and it takes the pressure off and it make their ATAR even better. Now, the SRP doesn't apply to two courses, and that is medicine and paramedicine. They are not included in this program. However, if a student is wanting to do medicine, we suggest that they put at least biomedicine down as a backup, because that is an approved pathway through into medicine. There are other ways, but that is the best way, and they do hold some places for those students. They have to do well in biomedicine, but that's another way through. So even if they are doing medicine, you still want to have that backup plan. So that is SRP. I can see there's a lot of questions going on there, and Justine's banging away there answering them all, which is great. I just wanted to give you a quick idea too of how much support the students can get at UTAS. We have an awful lot of support available, including all the ones that are listed there, like accessibility services. If your team does have a learning access plan or anything like that, that can certainly follow them into their university pathway. That's no problem at all. We have a lot of counselling and wellbeing, after hours helplines, peer assisted studies sessions, student advisors to help them, learning workshops and webinars, 24-hour study support, and lounges as well. There's actually a page on the UTAS website, or you can just Google it and put UTAS at the end, about all the support that is offered. And you can get a bit more detail about that as you like, but there is certainly, we want to provide our students with every kind of, however they learn, we want to support them. So there's bound to be some kind of support there for your team if they do need it. Support to study. I will be doing a session on HEX in a later webinar as well, which is the loan system, which we are lucky enough in this country to be the benefactors, or to be the recipients of. But we also do have scholarships, and they can apply for those in usually between the end of August and the end of October. That can vary a little bit. That can be financial support, relocation support, accommodation, academic support, all sorts of things. So there's a portal on the website that you apply for those when they open. And as I say, 95% of them will open between sort of August and October. Now, we do go into schools and help students with those applications and everything, or at least show them how to do them. There's over 200 scholarships, so we don't actually pull all those scholarships out, but we can show them how to apply for them. And once again, the team that Justin and I are part of, the Tasmanian student engagement, we can also help one-on-one and whether that be online or face-to-face or whatever with that as well. So don't forget that we're there to help. There's a few key dates here. As I say, applications for 2025 open on June the 26th this year. The School Leaver Expo, now that's really only for Year 12s. That's on Sunday, June the 29th in Hobart. There are a few dates around that, which you can find on the, actually, I've got a slide, coming up that'll have those dates in a second. So the School Leaver Expo, which is coming up, Cradle Coast, 26th of June, Launceston, 28th of June, and Hobart, 29th of June. We also have an open day in September. And that's the big one. You get everyone there, and it doesn't matter what year you're in there, you'll find something helpful there. We have all the academics, everything's open at the campus, and they are at each campus. Sorry, they're at Launceston and Hobart. Sorry, Justine, is there an open day at Cradle this year? There is. There's also an open day.
Yes, Dougal, there is. I found out today that there will be an open day in Burnie in October, but we are just waiting on the finalised date.
I thought I saw something today about that.
Yeah, super excited.
Fantastic. So that's a really good opportunity to come along, especially if they're not in Year 12. Otherwise, the School Leaver Expo is great, or both of them is also a fantastic way to go. Now, with the School Leaver Expo, we can actually help them apply as well. There's actually a whole heap of experts there with laptops that will help you. And if you're with your team and whatever, we can go through it all with you. It may not be us. There's lots of people. There's a heap of people from all over the place to help you with that. So keep that in mind. Now, I just want to go through quickly what we'll be covering in following webinars on the 9th of September. And by the way, you can register for these on the website, but we'll also be sending you an email sometime in the next couple of weeks with all these details on it as well, including our contact details too. So on the 9th of September, we're looking at covering accommodation, scholarships in more detail, learning abroad, subject selection for Year 10, 11 and 12, and the Higher Achievers Program and University Connections Program. That's HAP and UCP. Now, we'll have experts for a couple of those as well. We'll actually have people who are in the accommodation space talking about that. We'll probably have someone from scholarships, and we'll probably have someone from learning abroad as well. Actually, probably we're going to have a number of people, actually, experts on the next one. So it won't just me and me droning on. We'll actually have some people who really know what can get into the details. Then on the 9th of December, we'll go into more detail about why UTAS is a great option. Know your options, which is really, we're actually going to change the name of that. It's going to be Application Day or something like that. We haven't quite come up with a final thing, but that's in December, where you can come along and we can help you with your applications as well. It's kind of like enrollment day, not application day. I can see Justine's much happier with me having fixed that terminology. It's actually enrollment day. So they've accepted their offers and we can actually help you enroll. It's possible to do it yourself at home, but if you do need that extra help, it's a good thing to come along to. Once again, we can also help between December and January as well, one-on-one. We'll be going into one-on-one appointments and what we can offer. Finances, so that's where we will cover the HEX or HELP loans, and also the Tasmanian Union of Students. I can never remember what that stands for. It's basically the Student Association, and we'll actually have a representative from there as well, because they offer a number of services which are really helpful. So a lot of information to come up still. We may be adding to that Probably not. I think that's probably enough. So please, if you did enjoy this webinar, please feel free to register for the ones that are coming up. So if you haven't asked a question yet and you need to, look, we've answered 13. So Justine's been going off. We'll leave it open for a couple of minutes. Please type in your questions now, and I will try and answer any that I can live. Otherwise, Justine will jump in and answer
Dougal, we
them.
did have a
Yeah,
great question about, are there webinars for prospective students? So I have just put a link to all the course webinars in the chat.
all right.
And we do also offer webinars for students just before they start their studies, so how to enroll and support them through. So I've popped that in there for anyone who wanted to have a look at some of those.
Right. Yes, we've been madly doing webinars, and they're going on now, so they're up to date, very up to date. And these are actually experts, like the academics or whatever, talking to their subjects. So we're just facilitating it. So yes, there's lots of those on there now. Also, there will be a survey when we send that when we send the emails out later. If you can fill that in, that would be great. That'll just help us improve as we go forward. We hope to continue to offer these kind of webinars in the coming years. So anything we can do to help you make it a better experience would be great.
It doesn't look like we have any more questions. We haven't had one for a little while.
Great. So I just want to leave with, I guess, university and TAFE. I don't want to leave TAFE out. It is important. Higher education as a whole is going to be very important. It's already important. It's going to be more important. University is fun. I just always want to say that because people kind of forget that it is. You're doing something you love. Most students really enjoy their experience. That's not just UTAS, that's everywhere. And there's always a way in. It may take a year longer, it may take 2 years longer, but there is always a way in. So don't forget that, and we can help you find that pathway. So also, I don't know if I may have left that off, but we will be covering pathways in one of those webinars coming up too. I don't think I mentioned that. So alternate pathways into university as well. So that would be a Diploma of University Studies or the University Preparation Program, which we'll cover in detail. Justine,
So we did just have a question about that, Dougal. We had a question about VET. So that is something that, as you said, we will just discuss in another webinar. But students who are studying VET or a combination of VET and level 3 and 4 subjects are encouraged to apply under SRP. So if your child or son or daughter or whoever you are here representing is doing a VET program, we would certainly encourage them to apply if university is what they have decided they want to do.
Also, VET courses can be a pathway through, but that's probably a discussion for another time. So if we've got no more questions, thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it. I hope it was helpful. And yeah, have a great night. And we'll see you hopefully on the 9th of September. It was. Thanks so much.
Thanks.